I started studying the industry of estate planning over 35 years ago. And I'm very fascinated by it. I used to attend probate court, spent a lot of times in dialogue studying what are the best methods of moving assets from one generation to the next. And the term estate planning was something that was at the center of everything that I did. And so as I worked with families or I worked with other advisors, it was all about doing estate planning. One of the fallacies or myths that I've learned over the years, though, is people say, I've done my estate planning. So you talk to them and say, well, yeah, I did my estate planning. Now, let me tell you this, you can't do estate planning. Some estate planning is something that you live. It's a change of life. It's something that you're going to experience going forward. You actually have to live estate planning. I'd like to take the term estate planning and just throw it right out the window because I think it confuses people. What we're really talking about here is family leadership. And so people think, well, if I draft my documents, I got my trust, I got my will done, I've done it. Everything's wonderful. You know, it reminds me a little bit about, in terms of understanding or misunderstanding, back in World War II, towards the end of the war, as I understand it, the Russians were gradually expanding eastward and southward, looking for more bodies to conscript to come in and fight in the war against Germany. And as they moved southward and eastward, they got into the Mongolians and they loaded them up into trucks and they hauled them to the front. By the time the Mongolians got there, the war was over. So they got there for the spoils, and as they're going around from one fancy residence to the next, or one castle, or wherever they were absolutely astonished and marveled at the beautiful ornate toilets and the sinks and the handles that were on them and all of the accoutrements that go along with plumbing, and how you could turn a handle and water would come right out immediately. And they thought it was the coolest thing ever. So on the trucks they loaded up these bathtubs and they loaded up sinks and toilets, and they had them in their trucks and they hauled them all the way back to Mongolia, got them out, put them in their yurts, and went over and turned the handle, and no water came out. You see, they didn't have the plumbing. And that's the way that I look at traditional estate planning. We can go out and get the fancy, ornate wills and trusts, and they look good, and have them all set up and ready to go and say, I've done it. But without the right plumbing, they're not going to work. They're going to turn them, and they're not going to do what you want them to do. They're not going to. As evidenced by the fact that, really think about it, if over 2 or 3 generations, if by the 3rd generation, if 97% of family wealth does not make it to the 4th generation, hey, there's no plumbing there. It's not working.